So I'm going to go a little bit on the actual updates that have been happening since the patch basically 7.6.0. So we have new tile management menu. You can now decide to request or transfer specific tiles, useful when playing in co-op or when the AI captures stuff you wanted to get for yourself. Then we have new optional settings such as realistic manpower that it only going to work if the manpower setting is on. It adds on to the manpower setting, making it a finite resource. Manpower is being sent back into the pool, and this extra setting prevents this. Lost manpower cannot be retrieved, and wars of attrition of manpower are now possible. Now we have this small specification: when transferring units to another player, the manpower used is yours. The player receiving the unit will not have less manpower in its pool. This puts an end to the exploit of transferring infinite units to your allies. New optional settings such as show unit pre-move path, default on. This basically shows the path the unit will take when moving to a given tile under mouse cursor. Too expensive units in the store are no longer entirely grayed out, but have subtle UI change to make sure you know they are too expensive. Bridges are now shown when you press the Show All Buildings button. We have some changes. I'm not going to go through all of them. Pretty much we have reduced repair costs for certain ships. Swapping to unit's position will no longer reset the entrenchment level. This is pretty interesting. The entrenchment level, instead of going 0, is now going to lose 1 level. Attacks against units in train transports are now doubled. So for example, AI, if they cannot deal enough damage at the front line, they now are going to back out. The amount of units required around an enemy victory point to make it count as under siege and disable spawning of reinforcements has been reduced from 50% to 25% of available tiles. We have some sort of experimental in which max healable HP per turn. This is something that I noted, in which max healable HP per turn has been reduced from 50% to 35%. This is an attempt at fixing the fact that units can barely damage each other in front lines, and that makes that the front line is going to become static. Sending units back to the reserve, that means redeploying, now has a dynamic cost. It no longer costs a fixed 30 money, but is 10% of the unit's value. We have undo button was brought at the very top of the list. When playing with realistic units, names option on, the previous battalion word has been replaced by brigade. Manpower neutral penalty has been replaced by manpower not at war penalty. Before the 7.6.0, a country that was in neutral faction would have its available manpower cut in half. Now this happens anytime the player is not at war with anybody. We have tooltip for resupplying has been simplified, turned down partition spawn rate, which is actually pretty interesting. Supply rate changes. Now, this is the last part that I'm going to address because this is important. Supplies rate changes. Units at contact with the enemy had too high supply rate, which resulted in really sluggish battles. Now, every unit having an enemy unit adjacent to it will be applied a minus 25% supplies penalty. Terrain now has a bigger impact on supplies for the supply route. Supplies rate through terrain, hills and mountains, as well as forests are now going to play a more important role. Mountaineers, and this is store option, have a minus 50% penalty for supplies going through hills and mountains, and supplies penalty for bad weather has changed and is less important during rainy weather than in winter blizzard weather. Before, there was a flat 25 penalty applied for both. Now, a 30% penalty will be applied for winter bad weather, while a 20% penalty will be applied for rainy bad weather. And another important thing, just to point that out, and winter now lasts one less month. Snow starts falling on November 15th and will start melting on March 15th. Before this patch, it was in April the 1st, something that will bring a lot of changes into this amazing wargame. So let's get on and continue with our episode here. As you guys now see, we are resuming the Hex of Steel series, and Total War content is coming out. I've been experimenting a little bit with certain topics, real-time strategy and real-time tactics. And if you have missed the try out that demo series, I have uploaded an experimental series about interesting demos that could be of interest for people that in a way would like to get into this type of genre. Obviously, real-time strategy is a little bit light in comparison with what we usually do here. It's worth to give a try, and I think that not only hex but also square isometric style could be in some way a way to introduce ourselves into the wargaming. This is going to be a slow-paced playthrough. We are in the Spanish Civil War. This is a huge and amazing wargame made by one developer called Valentin. He always gives us a lot of updates, a lot to take into account now. I'm going to raise these avenues of approach, including this thing here. I'm going to erase this one. Let me go up in here and start erasing the areas that we already know that there is pretty much nothing that we had the contact, but we already know that that is no longer truth. Here we have it. Those are the contacts that we had here. Pretty good. Okay, so now we have to think about this because as the time goes on, of course, we go to research and we go to the actual tank that we are researching. We have 62 turns for this. That's pretty much a lot of turns. We have another 51 turn, no, 4 turns for the Heinkel. This is a fighter, actually. We also have a light bomber that we can actually buy. And I have noted that if we want to get the Canarias class heavy cruiser, basically the heavy cruiser, we need to research these guys here. So the light cruiser and the cruiser, well, actually both of them are light cruisers. We need to get those if we want to unlock the next tier. Perfect. So I'm going to be interested in this moment on. I'm going to be interested in bunkers. Bunkers are very useful because they can shoot at the opponent. Now, policies in Hex of Steel are very, very interesting, and they're going to change the actual mechanics on the actual battlefield quite a lot. As of right now, we have war conscription, and then we have in occupation, we have the balanced approach, which will decrease the partition spawning rate by 15%. Eventually, if we go further into occupation, we're going to get minus 30% partition rate and minus 50%, so on and so forth. Apart from forced labor, that is going to increase the spawning rate. Now, what do we get in here is something positive, but if we take a little bit of attention into this, it is going to decrease instead of increasing the actual recruitable population in occupied territories. So here it says that we have 15% either in recruitable population and production from captured territories, but here is going to be reduced to 8 and here to 5. So the more we get a less percentage of, or the more aggressive we are in like oppressing the populace in not to rebel, the less we're going to get in manpower and of course in production. That makes sense. And in here, we're going to get better recruitable population, evidently, but the more population that we recruit, so for example, in forced conscription, it is going to come at the cost of damage dealt by those troops, because the troops are going to be less willing to fight for the cause. I just want to point out winter soldiers, which are, this one, interestingly enough, is going to increase plus 30% damage to ground units when fighting in snowy tiles. Pretty interesting, this one. We have better scientists that are going to give minus 30% research time. That is going to help a lot if we want to get more quickly the actual things that we are researching. And as well, we have this one here, the all-weather that comes here in doctrines. Now, at this point, we have short bombardment that gives plus 20% damage to all ships against ground targets. I don't think we need this anymore, so we need to change this one. And it could be either the better scientists or the air units can perform attacks during bad weather. If you happen to have bad weather, and that's something that I just noticed because I did some tests with some other scenarios, and basically weather is something that will affect actually very, very drastically the ability of your counters to fight. And if you are completely new to Hex of Steel, you have to understand that weather in this wargame has a very, very heavy influence on the actual battlefield. So returning to policies, we already know that we could change either this one or this one in this area, in the section of doctrines. And then we have national focuses. Hearts of Iron has something very similar. I'm going to price the actual policies to Valentin because this definitely makes the game much more flexible and very interesting. Okay, here we have two interesting focuses here. We have the policy of military scientists that gives +1 research point. And then we have the by 2. This is going to give +2 research points at the cost of HQ points every turn. Also, we have possibility to deploy your units in allied territory, but take a look, -3 HQ points per turn. And resistance suppression that is going to give -50% partition spawn rate at the cost of HQ points. We have better shovels here, which will increase the entrenchment level +2. That's the max entrenchment level. And we're going to find ourselves with the actual economy here. We have early mobilization, partial, and war economy. Or it could be also total mobilization. This is going to increase income but is going to cost, the more income we're getting is going to cost manpower from villages and research speed. So we have to think about what we're going to do here. Definitely, I think it's going to be very difficult to find out which one we're going to pick. Perhaps we have minus 20% air unit costs, or we could say armored unit costs could be interesting. Armored production focus, I think that would be nice. Then we have, I think we're going to be doing the winter soldiers, I think, even though now the actual winter is going to end in mid-March, but I think it's going to be useful. Actually, I'm going to go for all weather. Air units can perform attacks during bad weather. That's the one I'm going to go for. Definitely, that's the one that I'm going to go for. So, what we have here? We noticed that there's an update on barge balloons. Just before starting this one, I just tested dropping these barge balloons, and for some reason, they are not working. So basically, if you drop them, they are stuck in there. They are stuck in the actual hex, and you cannot move the actual barge balloon. I don't know why. It is bugged because of the actual save. This is a save before the update. That could be a reason. I'm not sure. But we have landmines and a pontoon here. So we have to take into account that we can drop a pontoon. Now, let me see if I can drop a pontoon over here. No, I can't. So we know that we have a destroyer here, and I've been building this sort of wall of mines over here. So they are not going to be bold enough, at least that's what I believe, to move through here. So let me move this one here. This one here. There we go. We're gonna slip these guys. And because this is a anti-tank, it's not going to do too much of damage against this garrison. And I still need to move this back because this guy, pretty sure is going to attack it. Now, this guy over here, the destroyer, has 14 against hard targets. This is a hard target, but we cannot move it back. So we should do something, if possible, to make this guy attack something else apart from this. Perhaps if we move this guy down here, but we can't, that could be a possibility, but I'm going to send this guy down here. I think that one situation is very important here, and that is the fact that we're pulling all the garrisons from the actual harbors and villages, and I'm going to tell you that that's not a good idea, because right now that I saw about the resistance suppression, the partition spawn rate, and that, now I started to remember that there's the public order situation kinda, and you could have rebellions. So it is going to be good if we send our garrisons to protect those areas. So let me drop this one here. This one here. You shouldn't be moving a lot the troops when it's winter, because every time that you move, you're going to get penalties on the movement depending on the cost of the actual hex that you're moving. So let me bring this one over here. I think I'm going to move this to Cadiz. So I'm moving the anti-air brigades into their actual towns. These are anti-air brigades moving into the town. And then we have this garrison, the 11th garrison and the 5th garrison, that I'll have to move through here. And this is going to take a lot of time. So let's bring back the actual garrisons. Let's bring back the 13th garrison. Gonna bring this one back. Let's take this one here. It is with normal morale, but I'm going to bring it back through here. Let's bring this to Seville. And this one here, bad morale with 24. Okay. Let's move through here. This one as well, I'm going to pull it back. And I'm going to use going to take this out from the airfield. Very good. And then we're left with all the garrisons here. 5th, 11th, and 45th garrison. That's okay. So I'm going to use all these garrisons to do exactly what their name says, to garrison the actual towns and harbors. Okay, so let's bring this one here as well. So if you ever lose sight of, for example, the airfields, you can click here. This button says show hide urban areas on the map. And you have these airplanes. They are showing you the actual airfields. That comes very handy. Okay. There's nothing we can do with these two guys. Eventually, one of these two guys is going to be hit by this one. Nothing to do there. Nothing to worry about, because we cannot change that. We have this guy is 100%. It's pretty good. He has good ammunition. This one as well has good ammunition. He has one entrenchment. This one as well. I'm not going to move them. Pretty much I'm going to put them to sleep. What is the cost now? 30 minus 20. 33 is going to get 33 health, which is exactly more than 100. What about this one? This one is 64. He needs health. And this one is 85. They have excellent morale. This guy do not have excellent morale. And we have here the engineer. So perhaps we need to think about moving this engineer down here. We see here that he is with a little bit of problems with fuel. And this guy has normal morale. Okay. Let's see. Can we move this guy down here? I think that's going to be okay. So I'm gonna bring this guy down here. Gonna bring this one here. Gonna bring this one down here, of course. So then we can move the actual engineer. And then this guy stays here, I think. He's gonna stay there. Okay, let's bring this thing. We don't need that. We have more that we can drop in here or here. So I'm going to heal this unit, definitely. Gonna heal it. 85. No, it's not worth it. Let's see this one. Let's move this one up in here. And afterwards, we're going to heal it. Sadly, we cannot retreat with this one. And we need to be careful now. Careful with the winter. So I think we are okay here. Now, let's think about here. Are we willing to take this? I don't think. They will have the possibility to come from Jaén. And I don't think Linares is going to be something that we could worry about because of these two areas that they cannot pass through here. And then here we have the actual two artillery brigades here. But I don't think let's see. They stay there, okay. We're going to pull back with this guy. We're going to pull back slightly. Let me set this guy in a thin forest. In thin forest is okay, but this is a tank brigade. We don't know what they could send through here. So perhaps to move this down here could be something good. So I'm placing this guy here if they want to ever send something from here. And pulling back from here. Of course, we're pulling back from there. And over here, we're moving to the thick forest. This one goes back in here. These are roads, but I'm pulling back. And then we have this guy here. Let me send this one here. This one here. So now here we can see that we have a base damage of 30 plus 2 because of the morale. And they are very well entrenched, so that is not going to be a good situation. Because of their health points, because of our health points, we have -3, and then we have the terrain as well. And they have +2 because of the morale, and getting -3 because of the encirclement. but I think I'm not going to attack him. Okay, hopefully he's not going to attack me as well. So that is there. Now over here I see that we have a light infantry division here, not in good shape. So I'm going to pull back. It's very important. I'm going to pull back in here and pull back in here. Let's bring this guy down here. And this guy back. And here we are pretty much okay. I don't think they are going to be attacking us from here. That means that, for example, in here, we know that there's a lot of contacts here. We don't know what they're going to do as of yet. So we could say, okay, they are not going to advance. In the meantime, they are very, very worried about this area here. But we don't know with the AI. We don't know. So I would need a lot of help in here, okay? I would need a lot of help. And I am planning to get a lot of tanks. That is a must. I need to get a lot of tanks here. And the tanks that I'm planning to get are the Panzer number 1, the A Panzer number 1, and we have the option to get the Carro Veloce L335. They are cheap, both of them, and we have to use 5k of the actual manpower. The reason I'm trying to figure out which of those could be useful, this is a recon unit also, is because, as you can see, this, for example, the Italian one, has 35 against soft targets, but the Panzer A has 40 against the actual soft targets. And I need these not to attack tanks, but to attack soft targets. For example, if we click veterancy here, I think is going to make it more powerful. Winter trained is going to make it clearly much more expensive. So it's not telling me, starts with a better combat experience, but it's not telling me how much of the actual stats are getting buffed if I click here. But I need a lot of these guys. We have 30,000 K of manpower, so we can get ourselves 6 of these guys. So I need to think, where am I going to place them? Perhaps you guys can comment and tell me, where do you think is a good place to put the tanks, and where do you guys think is going to be a good strategy to begin our offensive? Feel free to comment, and I'm going to be open to any suggestions here, because this is getting very, very tough indeed. And now I'm thinking about moving all of these troops here. We see the 23rd Light Infantry Division, 25, 18th Heavy Infantry Division, and the 26th Light Infantry Division. I'm planning to move all of them over here in the area of Zaragoza. The reason I'm planning this is because I'm afraid that they're going to attack here. And I don't want that. If they start attacking us in here, they have this funnel. Okay? So I would need engineers to break this funnel. If I move through the mountains, that is going to be silly because I'm going to be getting attrition, and these guys are not in good shape. As you can see, the best 2 guys with full health, almost full health, are these 2. But if I start moving these guys and these guys, they're going to be attrition with these guys. So that's something that I don't want to do. At least not yet. And that's something that I don't like. Are we pulling ourselves back in here, perhaps? So I think now that I'm here, I'm going to be sending these tanks over here, okay? So we need the tanks down here. And as you can see through here into Dela and Zoria, we are like blocked by the rivers here. And then over here, we need to move through Logrono and then Pamplona and then move, and there are no roads here. But that's the only way. So I'm going to start moving our tank brigades. So let's get them here. Okay, and then we're going to start moving our tank brigades down here. Okay. That's the plan. That's the only way I see to deter these guys into pushing forward here. Okay. So then we could move into this situation here. Okay, so here we have the, let's see, if we hide all units, we can see here that there's a breach. Now, as I understand, if you bombard the actual tile, the actual hex that has a breach, you're going to destroy the breach, pretty much. So we don't want that. We don't want to destroy that breach. And this guy is pretty much stuck in here because he doesn't have supplies and he doesn't have fuel. This destroyer here, and I need to do something about it. So this guy can shoot in here and here, but he's going to do more damage in this 40th Infantry Division. By the time being, I think I'm going to be moving this guy. Let's see, I'm going to shoot at these guys so I can liberate this one. But I'm going to need this 7th Light Artillery Brigade and this 6th Light Artillery Brigade, and I'm going to position them here. Why? Because the more I think about it, I noticed that to set a defensive position here is going to be much better than trying to cross the river. Okay? It's going to be much better. So let's bring these guys back here. And this guy back here. So I'm setting these two guys over here. In the meantime, let me simply pull this guy back in here. This guy here. And over here with, I think we're okay here. And this guy I'm going to send down here to Villablino. So let me mark that. I'm going to be moving these guys here. This one here and this one here. Okay. If you find the content of the channel of interest in general, something that you would like to support, click support in Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description so I can continue smashing those keys while having a sip in your name. Let's get on to the video, shall we? That's going to be better. Now I see here that they have, well, eventually this thing, I can pull this thing back, but then they are going to take the airfield. It's not good if they take the airfield. I actually have one bomber squadron here. I'm going to check the squadrons just in a second. When we finish with this situation, we have this situation over here, this, and this one here. But in here I think that we're going to be good by, first of all, placing this guy here. Let's move this one over here. Let's bring this guy here. Okay, I'm going to slip with this ones. So that way I know that these guys are moving here. And finally, we have all of these engineers. So yeah, I'm pulling them back. But right now I cannot move them. So let's see. Okay, let's fix this one. I'm going to fix this one. Okay. Now this one is normal morale with 80 of health. It's pretty much the same as that one, I think. So I'm going to hit this one. Okay, we're good there. And I think I don't need to move. Well, he's staying there. What about here? Can we attack this guy? Yes, but we're going to get more damage than the damage that we are capable of doing. Sadly, we cannot move them, so they stay there. Let's bring this guy here. And before doing something here, I'm going to go to the order of battle and see where are our bombers. So here we have one. This one has no ammunition. This is the first strategic bomber squadron, and this is the second. The second has ammunition. So let's move and eventually we cannot resupply with this one. We're going to do that in the next turn. But with this one, we can attack. And I need to think which is going to be the best target. For example, in here I can do 32. But the question is, what happens if I attack it with these guys? We're not getting too much of a damage here because this guy has very good experience and he is inside a thick forest. So I'm pretty much attacking this guy over here, I think. 32. Right now he has 77. Perhaps if I move this one, no, we can't. Okay, and guys, you have to note that the undo button has been moved up in here. Great. So let me move this bomber over here. Perfect. Okay, that's good. What about here? We have this guy moving south, and we have this one. Okay, let's bring this guy here. Gonna place this one here. So if this guy moves down, then he's going to be ambushed in here. And then let me fix this one. No, it's not worth it. Let's fix this one instead. Gonna fix this one. And I'm gonna, this one stays here, I think. This one stays here. Okay. I'm gonna tell you why it's not worth it to fix this one, because this guy has 97. And if I spend, it's not about spending, but it's about how much health I'm going to get by clicking here. And I get 35, and it's going to be a waste of health, you know? So no, I'm not doing that. And now we have the reconnaissance brigade here. This area is like this because we just bomb it. So let me move. Now this guy is very, very weak. So I could send, let me see. Could bomb this guy here, but he's in thick forest. It's going to be difficult. Okay, let me move this guy north. Actually, I'm going to move this one, if possible. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now I would like to have better encirclement here. Encirclement is giving -18 here. 7, 9, 7, it's 20 some 20. No, we're not dealing a good amount of damage here. So I'm healing this unit here. And I'm sending this guy. So then let's heal this one. There we go. This one's full health. And let's heal this one as well, I think. It's going to be okay. There we go. And I think that's it. Over there we just talked about this, and now here. So here we need to move this one down here, I think. It's going to be okay. Then I'm gonna move, let's move this one here. Then I'm gonna move this one here. Great. Okay, so this guy goes back in here so I can fix it. And now I can hit this one or this one. I think this one is going to be better. Okay, 18 experience. Good. Pretty much that's it. Now, let's talk about the bunkers and the tanks that I want to Recruit, I want 1, 2, this is 10,000, 20 and 30,000. This is a total amount of 1,000, which is quite a lot, but I think we're going to do it. And I would like to have 3 bunkers. 3 bunkers are going to be okay. So that is half of the actual treasury that we already have. Okay, let's do it. Oh, I don't have enough manpower. Yeah, because we need more manpower to get those. So I would be getting these guys first. So I'm going to get, let me see how many. Let me see how many of them, because I would like to place bunkers over here, all the way here. So 3 bunkers here are going to be awesome. That way I'm going to simply block these guys here. So to place 3 bunkers here. So I'm placing bunkers over here. So I'm stopping these guys from moving. That's something that I must do. Perhaps I'm dropping here trenches. I would say that's 1 trench and 3. These are 3 bunkers and 1 trench here. And pretty much I'm not going to do it here and here, because I want to have the bunkers slightly at the back so they can approach here and then I can flank them. That's gonna be the actual situation here. So we're talking about 3 bunkers, and then let me think about another bunker. I think here. So we have 4 bunkers. Another bunker could be set somewhere around here, I think, or somewhere around here. It's going to be better. Over here in Zaragoza. So we need 4 bunkers. Do we need another bunker here? I don't think. Perhaps another one here. Yeah, that could work. So we need 5 bunkers, 1 here. They are very expensive, but I'm going to take 5 bunkers. 1 bunker, I'm going to use it here. And I see that there's another area here. It could be set in here as well, but mostly here. So I'm going to get 1 bunker here. Let me do 1 bunker here. Okay. Let me do another bunker in Zaragoza. And finally, these are 2, 3, and 3 bunkers here. So we're going to place them here, and here we're going to place the trenches. So 5 bunkers and 1 trench. Let's get on with it. And 1 trench. There we go. Same price. The same price, but it's going to be worth it. I can place one thing here, one of these, but I'm going to wait. Okay. So let's end the turn. Well, well, well. We lost, it says units lost 1. Let's find out. We ambushed the 10th Light Infantry Division here. And I knew that they were planning to move. This is a light infantry division, so they moved from here. So we're going to raise this one. So we know that that's the light infantry. We know that this is the heavy infantry. So let's erase this one. Let me see. We got this ambush here. Okay. Let me see if we can bring the actual. We have a problem here because they just started to bombard the 12th Light Artillery Brigade. We can see that now this guy is 62, but that's okay because it retreated. So let's see, where am I supposed to drop the mines over here, I think. Now they retreated, that's good. This guy retreated. He doesn't have a good morale and he's still trying to destroy my anti-air brigade. Let's see, can I place, yeah, I can place the actual mine all around this guy. So actually what I'm going to do is to drop it here. Pretty much. Okay, I'm dropping it here. Actually, they're not so expensive, right? I'm going to buy quite a lot. There we go. I'm going to buy quite a lot because I need to mine a lot here. Okay. That's okay. And now I think we are done with the, okay. So now what? As I just mentioned, this is getting quite difficult indeed. We don't want this guy here, right? But we still have the tanks here. Can still bring this guy down. But the bridge gives 50% of protection here. Okay. So I think this guy going to be moving here, and then we have, he can move 4. So then we have 2 and 2. This is the other step, and then here. And with this guy, we have 2 and 1 and 1. So this is going to be moving here and then here. Okay. Actually, I can send it here. These are 2, 1. Oh, this thing can actually reach here pretty much. So I'm going to send it here. And this one here. Okay. And then just move this up. And then reach here, pretty much. Excellent. This was Victus. See you in the next one.